Morning startups are the most brutal time for your engine. Everything's cold, fluids are thick, and any problems that crept in overnight, they're about to reveal themselves. Ignore the signs and you might go from a simple fix to a totaled engine. Today, we'll be helping you identify the desperate cries for help that your car shows when it's about to break down. And more importantly, what you should do about it. Stick around to make sure you don't miss any. Let's get started. Number 1. White or blue exhaust smoke. Have you ever started your car and suddenly there's smoke pouring out of the tailpipe? Not just a little morning mist. This stuff hangs in the air and smells off. If it's white, it might look harmless at first, but it could indicate that coolant is entering the engine's combustion chamber. That usually points to a blown head gasket or a cracked cylinder head, both of which are serious issues. And when coolant burns, it creates steam that's laced with sweet-smelling chemicals. But there's nothing sweet about the repair bill if you ignore it. Now, if the smoke has a bluish tint and a burnt oil smell, that's even more alarming. It means your engine is burning oil, which could be due to worn piston rings, bad valve seals, or even a failing turbocharger in some cars. In both cases, the engine is literally consuming fluids it's not supposed to. That's not just bad for emissions, it's a fast track to internal engine damage. So what should you do? Don't just assume it's normal for cold mornings. Pop the hood and check your oil and coolant levels immediately. If either is low, you're already losing fluids, and that's a problem that only gets worse. If you see this smoke once, don't risk it. Get the car looked at before a $50 gasket turns into a fuel engine replacement. Number 2. Loud ticking or knocking sounds. Let's say you turn the key, the engine fires up, only now it sounds like it's full of marbles or someone's playing the drums under your hood. That sharp ticking noise? It's usually the valve train not getting proper oil flow, especially right at startup when cold, thick oil struggles to reach the top of the engine. It could be something as simple as low oil or a clogged oil passage, but let it continue and you're grinding metal where precision parts are supposed to glide. Now, if it's more of a deep knocking, almost like a dull thud every time the engine turns over, that's a much bigger red flag. That sound is often tied to worn-out engine bearings or detonation. Either way, it means serious internal stress every time you hit the gas. These sounds are your engine's way of screaming for help. And no, it goes away when it warms up isn't a good sign. It just means the damage slows down, not that it disappears. What should you do? First, shut the car off. Check the oil level right away. If it's low, top it up, but don't just drive off. If the noise stays or even worsens, call for a tow. Driving with low oil pressure or internal knocking can lead to total engine failure in just a few miles. Number 3. Slow crank or clicking when starting. If you start your car and instead of that smooth roar to life you get a lazy groan or just a single click, that right there is a warning shot from your electrical system. A slow crank usually means the battery is barely holding on, or that your starter motor is struggling to turn the engine over. And when it happens in the morning after a long cold night, that's the moment batteries usually fail. Now, if you're just hearing a clicking sound and the engine doesn't even try to turn, that's worse. It could be a dead battery, a corroded terminal, or even a failing starter relay. Either way, your car's on the edge of being completely unresponsive. And here's the kicker, a battery doesn't always die gradually. Sometimes it works fine one day and the next morning it leaves you stranded in your driveway. What should you do? If the car cranks slowly but starts, don't ignore it. Go get the battery tested that same day. Most part stores will test it for free. If it's more than 3 years old, it's living on borrowed time. If it only clicks and won't start at all, don't keep trying. It's not going to magically fix itself. Jump start it only if you must. Then head straight to a shop or have the battery and connections checked before you're left calling a tow truck. Number 4. Warning lights that vanish after a minute. Here's one most people miss. You start the car and for the first few seconds all kinds of warning lights flash on. Check engine, ABS, maybe even transmission or oil pressure. Then they disappear. Car seems fine. You shrug and go about your day. But here's the truth. Some of the most dangerous issues are the ones that show up only during startup and vanish once the system resets itself. That disappearing check engine light could be hiding a misfire, a failing sensor, or even a serious fuel or emissions problem. And some manufacturers actually design the system to clear temporary faults on restart, which makes them harder to catch unless you're scanning the car regularly. What's even worse is if you've ever noticed a red light, like oil pressure or temperature, come on briefly before vanishing. That's not something you ignore. That's your engine telling you it came close to failure and barely recovered in time. What should you do? Take a picture of your dash during startup. Seriously, it takes 2 seconds, and it might be the only proof you have if something fails later. If you're seeing the same lights every morning before they go out, get the car scanned. Even if the light isn't on now, the computer may have stored the fault. The sooner you catch it, the cheaper and safer your repair will be. Number 5. Fresh fluid puddles under the car. You walk out in the morning and there it is, a dark, mysterious puddle under your car. Most people assume it's condensation from the AC, especially on warm days. But if it didn't rain overnight and your AC hasn't run since yesterday, that's not just harmless water. It could be engine oil, coolant, transmission fluid, or power steering fluid, each one telling you something's leaking while you sleep. And here's the problem, overnight leaks are silent killers. When you start your car with low fluids, you're pushing the engine or transmission into a high-stress environment with no protection. Oil leak? You risk starving the engine of lubrication. Coolant leak? You might overheat in minutes. Transmission leak? You could lose power, or worse, damage the gears permanently. And brake fluid? That's a whole different level of danger. What should you do? Before you start the car, take a second to check under it, especially beneath the engine bay or near the front wheels. If you see a puddle, don't drive yet. Look at the color and feel. Oil is dark and greasy. Coolant is usually green, orange, or pink and has a sweet smell. Transmission fluid tends to be red or brown with a slick texture. If you spot anything that isn't clear water, check your fluid levels and get it inspected. Driving with even one low fluid system can escalate into a major repair bill. Or worse, leave you stranded on the side of the road. Number 6. Strong fuel smell around the car. You shouldn't smell gasoline unless you're standing at a pump. So if you get a strong whiff of fuel after starting your car, or even before you get in, it's time to stop and figure out why. This isn't just about efficiency, it's a serious safety issue. The most common culprit is a leaking fuel injector, especially in older vehicles. But it could also be a cracked fuel line, a damaged fuel pressure regulator, or a fault in the evaporative emissions system. And in cold weather, rubber fuel lines can contract and leak slightly before expanding again as the car warms up. Whatever the cause, the risk is the same. Flammable vapors near hot engine components. One spark, one backfire, and it could be a fire hazard. And here's what makes it tricky. Sometimes the smell goes away once you start driving, because the leak seals up or the fumes dissipate. That doesn't mean the problem is gone. What should you do when this happens? Before starting the engine, open the door and sniff around the car. If you smell fuel near the hood or around the rear, do not start the engine. Pop the hood and look for damp spots around the injectors or fuel rails. If you see any or if the smell is strong enough to sting your nose, call a tow truck. It's not worth risking a fire just to get to work on time. Number 7. Rough idle or engine shaking. You start your car and right away it doesn't sound or feel right. The engine's stumbling, the RPM needle bounces a little, and the whole vehicle might even shake slightly in place. This isn't just a cold engine thing. That's a warning that your engine isn't firing correctly from the get-go. Rough idling usually points to a misfire, where one or more cylinders aren't doing their job. It could be a fouled spark plug, a bad ignition coil, or even something deeper like low compression in a cylinder. You might also be dealing with a vacuum leak, where unmerited air is throwing off the fuel mixture and making your engine run lean or erratic. Either way, your engine is struggling, and forcing it to run like that, even just for a few minutes, can lead to major problems. Unburned fuel from a misfire can clog or damage your catalytic converter. Engine imbalance puts more stress on mounts and internal components. And if it's shaking hard enough, you'll feel it through the steering wheel or seat. Your car is literally telling you to stop. Always give your car a moment. If the idle smooths out in under 30 seconds and never returns, it might have been a brief hiccup. But if the shaking continues or the check engine light starts flashing, shut it off. Don't rev the engine trying to warm it up. Get the code scanned immediately. You're better off catching a bad spark plug or coil early than replacing an $800 catalytic converter later. Number 8. Steam or sweet smell from the vents. This one sneaks up on you. You start the car, kick on the defroster or heat, and suddenly there's a light mist on the windshield, or a warm, sweet smell coming from the vents. Feels cozy until you realize it's not fog. That's steam. And that smell? That's ethylene glycol from your coolant. What you're dealing with is likely a leaking heater core. a small radiator tucked behind your dashboard that uses hot engine coolant to warm the cabin. When it cracks or leaks, coolant escapes into the HVAC system and starts getting blown right into your face. The problem isn't just that you're losing coolant, it's also that you're breathing in vaporized coolant, which is toxic. And that steam on your windshield, it can fog up the glass in seconds, blinding you as you drive. What should you do? Turn off the heat immediately. If the windows fog up unusually fast or you smell something sweet and chemical-like inside the cabin, don't ignore it. Check your coolant reservoir. If it's low, you're likely losing fluid into the cabin. Driving with a leaking heater core is risky for both your engine and your health. Get it inspected and repaired before it leaves you stranded or fogged up in traffic. Now, while all these checks are pretty important, there's an easy 10-second habit that can save you from all the chaos we just talked about. All you need to do is check under your car right after you park it for the night. Not in the morning, not after work, right when you shut it off. Why? Because that's when your car's fluids are still warm and under pressure. If anything's leaking, you'll see it dripping or spotting almost immediately. Once the engine cools, leaks slow down or stop completely. And by morning, the evidence could be dried up, soaked into the ground, or just plain gone. So instead of waking up to mystery puddles, you're catching leaks when they're fresh and easy to diagnose. You'll know what's dripping, how fast, and from where, before you start the engine and do serious damage with low fluids. Here's how to do it. After your last drive of the day, park your car and take a quick look under the front bumper area, specifically beneath the engine and transmission zone. Shine your phone flashlight if it's dark. Look for drops forming, shiny wet spots, or tiny puddles starting to collect. If you see something, put a clean piece of cardboard or a drip tray underneath overnight. Check the size, color, and smell of the spots in the morning. That one habit can turn a mystery leak into an easy fix and help your mechanic pinpoint the issue fast. Now you might ask, why is this habit important? Well, leaks are more active and visible when fluids are still warm and moving. Plus, it prevents cold start damage from running low on oil, coolant, or transmission fluid. It also gives you a head start before a small leak turns into a full-blown failure. The bottom line? Mornings are when your car tells you the truth, but the night before is your chance to listen early. Catch the warning signs, follow your instincts, and don't ignore what your car is showing you. Because if your car does any of this in the morning, it's not just talking, it's begging you not to drive.